The trial continued today with the court being shown a videotape police interview with Malcolm Baker the day after he shot 6 people dead and wounded another in October last year. The court heard Baker initially went to the Gannon family home at Terrigal to see Kerry Gannon, but became agitated because another man was there with her. He returned armed with a shotgun. Baker recalls little about his rampage.
Do you recall doing that after he'd shot you five?
I don't even remember half of what went on. But
Baker's friend John Thompson persuaded him to surrender after the 3 shootings. Justice Newman today praised his actions, thanking him on the community's behalf. Thompson says he felt obliged.
Well, it's something that I felt had to be done at the time, and he's me mate. I just thought I was doing the right thing by him.
During today's proceedings, the trial was given an insight into Malcolm Baker's mental condition at the time of the shootings. Forensic psychiatrist Dr. John Strum telling the court he believed Baker was a sick man crying out for help. Dr. Strum pointed out that given professional assistance, the tragedy of October 27 last year could have been avoided. The trial resumes tomorrow morning.
For 4 years, Forest Glow was an owner's delight, winning 11 out of 21 races and collecting more than $900,000 in winnings along the way. However, a chipped bone in his knee ended his racing career. With a well-credentialed pedigree, his American owners decided to put him to stud, and some of the world's most prestigious horse facilities bid for his service. But the family-operated Yarraman complex just outside of Scone won out.
The horse will stay in Australia forever. He won't be shuttling backwards and forwards and serving a dual hemisphere season.
Forest Glow has only been here a week and has already been booked to service 60 mares.
We'll be sending sort of 15 of our best mares as well, and already there have been some very exciting mares booked in from outside people.
There's also another attraction to the big grey apart from his fertility. His fees are only $5,000 per mare compared to $30,000 or $40,000 for some big name Australian stallions. But his owners hope within a couple of years the results from his first offspring will enable them to demand similar sizable fees.
They look down low, he's got him. This time it'll be the jam, and no mistake. Well, Andrew Gaze is chasing hard. Here's Kuiper going down the middle. There he's...
Play basketball without killing himself. No comment today.
It's an assist, but unfortunately it's to Terry Dozier. Now here come the All-Stars again. Munro back to Dozier!
For Elsie and Arthur Dalton, the trouble began 30 years ago when they applied to have water connected to their Raymond Terrace property. After being told water wouldn't be connected, the Daltons spent thousands of dollars installing 6 rainwater tanks and enlarging their dam to provide a regular household supply. But a few years later, water was connected, the pipes installed on the Daltons' land when the family was away on holidays.
So here we are, still getting bills, and nobody wants to know us or see us, and yet they put the pipe on our land without our permission. We got no notification they were doing it.
The dispute started when the local water authority began sending regular water access bills. Since they weren't using the water and had no plans to do so, the pensioners say they refused to pay. They've stuck to their guns for more than 2 decades and now owe more than $4,000.
I think the water board is just waiting for us to die so they can take it out of the estate. I don't think they have any intentions of doing anything else but sitting in their offices and just waiting for us to die.
According to Hunter Water, the availability charge on the Daltons' property is one every landowner has to pay. And although the Water Authority can't waive the rule, it has offered to reduce the bill from $4,000 to $750. But still, the couple refuses to pay.
We are Australians. We fought for Australia, and we're still fighting for a principle.
Melinda Smith, NBN News.
The Russian cruise ship Mikhail Sholokhov came into Newcastle Harbour this morning. The 250-berth vessel left Brisbane on Thursday. On board, many Novocastrians who'd done the coastal trip. Most of the other tourists will stay here 3 nights before flying home, providing a boost to Newcastle's economy. This evening, the ship will take 200 passengers from the Hunter on a 13-night cruise of the Pacific Islands. While cargo ships often grace the harbour, it's been 10 years since a cruise ship visited Newcastle.
It was called Spectacular 93, and it certainly was. Twists, turns and tumbles from Taree's Jimaroos, Jim Jellies and Jim Joeys, combined with classical dances from England, Spain and the Canary Islands, made for an entertaining afternoon. Today's performances were to show the people of the North Coast some world-class gymnastics and were complete sellouts. The idea for the shows originated after the 1991 World Gymastrada in Amsterdam, and it gives both the gymnasts and the dancers a unique opportunity to swap ideas, concepts and coaching tips. Raising money for the Sydney City Mission, they did it tough with the temperature dropping to 7 degrees. And it was some time before they nodded off, with artists like Diesel and Jimmy Barnes providing the lullabies. The mission hopes to raise up to $400,000 from the Sydney Sleep Out and similar events around the country.
The Curry side was bolstered with the return of Glenn Messenger. The New South Wales Country Rugby League last night quashed his 10-week suspension for allegedly breaking Neil Baker's jaw last month. However, Lakes wasted no time jolting Curry out of their happy mood. One big hit ended Messenger's game in the first 10 minutes. He was forced to leave the field with a nasty back injury. That spurred the Bulldogs on, and Brian Quinton running from broken play put them on the board first. 7 minutes later, some nifty ball handling put them over again. Encouraged by a large crowd, their confidence was sky high. Quinton unloading mid-tackle to start fullback Dale Williams on a 50-metre sprint to the line. At half-time, Lakes coach Steve Walters told his players they were by no means out of it. Lakes had their opportunities and got over the line a number of times, but just couldn't finish. Lakes will now play the winner of tomorrow night's semi between Souths and Waratah, while Curry play West next Sunday.
Members of the East Maitland Bowling Club were in a state of stunned disbelief when they heard of the deaths of Peter and Monica Azimus. The pair was well known. Peter, aged 60, a popular past president and life member of the club and the Hunter District Bowling Association.
Of course, Peter was an outstanding lawn bowler himself, but going back in years to the late 50s and the 60s, he was a prominent rugby league player, a front row forward, and with the Maitland Club, and that was in some of the golden years of rugby league in Maitland. A very, very tough competitor on the field.
Sports commentator Gary Harley broke the sad news to a morning radio audience, but the family and close friends of the couple were informed of the fatal smash last night. Peter and Monica Azimus and Max Watson from Lemon Tree Passage had driven to Wagga for a surprise party for an old friend. Mr Watson, who was a passenger in the car, remains in a stable condition in Yass Hospital. The couple is survived by a large family. Many friends and relatives are expected to pay their last respects at a funeral service at Maitland's St Joseph Church later this week.
Highly respected family, the Asmus family, big family. His youngest son, Scott, who I know very well, was a member of the Knights SG ball team this year, in 1993. Very good sporting family.
"22-year-old David Lovett from Wallsend died of multiple injuries sustained when two trail bikes collided head-on in the old Gretley mine site near Maryland late yesterday. 17-year-old Lachlan Davis from Maryland was seriously injured and remains in the John Hunter Hospital. A damaged bike and wreckage at the popular off-roading spot hinted at the fatal impact. The bikes collided on a sweeping gravel bend. Many of the hits on vinyl, video, cassette and disc are going around again in a growing market for pre-loved favourites. Record fairs cover all tastes and are themselves becoming top of the pops with collectors. Buyers and sellers came from as far as Sydney and Brisbane for this fair in Newcastle. There are the toe tappers and serious collectors, all searching for a rare find. Hits from the 50s and 60s, the populars and rhythm and blues are snapped up from $200 to $200. And what better way to hear an old 45 than on an authentic 1955 jukebox, all part of the music memorabilia on offer. Neighbours who'd spotted the smoke coming from the Ulagandi Street house at about 4 o'clock dialled 000, then attempted to break in to assist the elderly woman resident. Smoke and heat drove rescuers back. Emergency services were quickly on the scene, but had to put out the fire before entering the house. Inside, firefighters found the badly burnt body of a woman believed to be in her 90s, slumped close to the front door. A post-mortem will be carried out to positively identify the victim. Fire investigators and the police scientific unit are yet to establish the cause of the fire. It was the second house fire this week to claim a life. An elderly woman died on Wednesday in the Newcastle suburb of Georgetown after a heater was overturned in her house. Rescuers found the woman's pet dog clawing at a door trying to reach the owner.
Like most of us, plastic surgeon Chris Howe has never been to Bosnia, but he has seen the faces of scores of children, the innocent victims of a terrible war. Hundreds of children, most of them orphans, are in Bosnian hospitals, which have no running water, power or food. They need urgent medical treatment, and that's where Dr. Howe and others can help.
We can see from the television footage, we can see the types of injuries, you can see the nerve damage. You know that if the nerves aren't repaired, then it'll be too late. There's a lot of very sad injuries just sitting there waiting for something to be done.
Yesterday, British Prime Minister John Major announced the evacuation of 41 sick children to Britain, Sweden and Ireland. Soon they could be coming to Newcastle. The word has spread quickly. At a meeting this afternoon, the Newcastle Permanent Building Society gave its support and opened a special account to take donations. The region's 5 private hospitals will also assist the cause. The Lions Club will act as the linchpin, and local politicians will try to speed up the bureaucratic process. It appears the Newcastle effort could be carried out through the United Nations, as Australia does not have direct diplomatic contact with Bosnia. There are many details still to work out. The first is to gain federal government approval, and that is now in the hands of Foreign Affairs Minister Gareth Evans.
Trying to put the infrastructure together. We're putting the proposals through to Canberra, but that's what we want to do, that's how we want to help, and it's up to them then to make it a reality.
It had all the makings of a horrific smash. Traffic had been halted at roadworks at the foot of a hill on Mount Vincent Road near Mulbring.
Just stopped at the lollipop signal, a couple of cars in front of me, and then a huge bang.
A tanker hauling liquid nitrogen jackknifed as it attempted to pull up. The tanker clipped the back of a small sedan, setting off a chain reaction which involved 6 cars and a utility, which speared off the road into a ditch. Amazingly, no one was seriously hurt. An elderly Queensland couple were taken to hospital for treatment for minor injuries. The incident was hauntingly similar to the Branxton horror smash in March, where a semi ploughed into a line of cars, killing 3 people. Here the casualty count could have been worse. 2 of the cars contained families returning from holidays. Jocelyn Genders and her 2 small children had been on the road since early morning, heading home to Canberra.
Having been along a long stretch of road that everyone was travelling really slowly and gone into good highway, and all of a sudden there's lollipop signals over the top of a hill.
Police investigations are continuing. Andrew Lobb, NBN News.
Both teams are no strangers to playing in the dark. Waratah last week punished South in the elimination semi. Although Waratah led at half-time and the score didn't change, the Cheetahs know you can't rest easy, even if you have a handy lead.
Semi-final football, even if you're leading by 10 points, you can always, the team that's going down can always come on top again, because it's all different football. Everybody sort of wants to get out there and give their best shot.
If Lakes are behind at the break, there's every chance they will come out firing. Coach Steve Walters is rated one of the best dressing shed lecturers around and can turn on an inspirational mouthful. Sunday's semi between Wests and Curry at Harker Oval will be the chance for both sides to get rid of some bad. Confident the game will be won on a second half performance.
They've been outscored a few times in the second half, and I've sort of maintained to our guys, if we can stick to our guns in the first half and hold them, I think we can get away with it in the second half.
We've been in front at half-time our last 4 games and maybe slipped away a little bit in the second half. You know, hopefully things will go to plan and we are in front at half-time, but I wouldn't mind if it's 0-0 at half-time.
Hockey is a worldwide sport, its highest honours linked with Olympic representation. Attaining that standard means years of competition, personal sacrifices and pressure. Australian hockey officials are well aware of how easily players can burn out.
They have to need to see other things in the game than just winning. They've got to realise the importance of it, but it's got to be put in the context of all the other good things about this, the educational part of it, the social part of it.
The championships are the first time the players are seen by national selectors. The title's classed as the nursery of future champions. But selectors believe the recipe for success not only rests with raw talent, hence the importance placed on scheduling this trip to Old Sydney Town near Gosford during the championships.
It's very important that we don't let our young players be pressured too much at this age.
Competitiveness is something 15-year-old Megan Sargent is familiar with. A member of the New South Wales team, the Newcastle player comes from a sporting family. Her mother was an Olympic swimmer, her father a former Australian surf lifesaving champion. Megan's aspirations are just as high, but her attitude reflects the holistic approach.
Yeah, you have to be able to enjoy yourself out there on the field. If you take it too serious, then it's just not fun anymore. You just got to have fun out there on the field.
Ash Island is a fragile estuarine environment that's been chewed up and spat out by progress. First it was cleared for grazing, then landfilled for an industrial. 100 years ago, the island named after the ash trees which grew there supported lush rainforest.
We have early reports in the late 1800s about the rainforest and the calls of bellbirds and whipbirds in this area with swamp wallabies.
Fisheries biologists are now venturing into what appears land, searching for vital remnants of a wetlands food chain. On the high tides, paddocks become underwater forests for fish and crabs. Drains and channels may need widening to allow more water in.
Last night was one of the highest tides we had during the month, and it's the fish that move out of the creek onto this apparently dry area that we're very much interested in.
The Hunter Catchment Trust aims to rehabilitate the area as a reserve, with the hope of encouraging ecotourism around walking, bicycle and canoe tours.
The passive recreation will be emphasised as well as a city farm concept up on a corner of the island to give a rural atmosphere close to the city.
But turning back the clock on a century of damage won't come easily or cheaply.
Funding will be a year-to-year concern for the project.
These soldiers of the cause could be the fighting men and women of any country. With warfare in Beirut, Sarajevo and Mogadishu, the cast has drawn on recent conflicts to make a few changes to the original play first 10 years ago. Under director Barney Langford, the production aims to challenge its audience through the trials of a group of young people holed up in a warehouse behind enemy lines. Dances in the Minefield opens in Newcastle tomorrow night.
In February 1992, the Wilderness Society lodged a proposal to turn 70,000 hectares of the Barrington Tops area into wilderness. An examination of that proposal by the National Parks and Wildlife Service has found 63,000 hectares meet the criteria. That is, it's mostly untouched by humans. If it is turned into wilderness, the area, which includes most of the Barrington Tops National Park plus some state forest land, would be closed to all forms of recreation and industry except bushwalking. For the last 4 months, the proposal has been on display. Today was the last chance to comment on the plan. There is no doubt that the Barrington Tops is an area of great natural beauty, but it is also a source of income for the communities of Dungog and Gloucester. And it is from these towns that the majority of objections have been received. If the area is closed, then Gloucester alone would lose 80% of its entitlement for timber. Logging contractor Mark Seifleet heads the town's Forest Protection Society.
I'm a fourth generation timber worker in Gloucester, and the timber industry generates a very large section of the employment in Gloucester, and you know, to take away the resource, to shut down the mills, you're going to shut down the town.
The other main group objecting to the proposal is the Hunter Four-Wheel Drive Council. Recently, they took part in a huge rally in protest against the wilderness plan. The submissions will be compiled and presented to Environment Minister Chris Hartcher, who will take the proposal to Cabinet for consideration. Jodie McKay, NBN News.
The Matara tournament has brought in champion bowlers from across the state. In its 33rd year, it's almost a tradition in Newcastle. This year, more than $5,000 in prize money was up for grabs. And there was some hot action in the finals today after more than a week of competition. In the men's pairs, Wallace and Pitt from Wallsend defeated Carstens and Gardner. Mixed pairs, Ron and Alva Seibert from Gwandolin defeated the West from Bullaroo. In the fours, John Roberts from Charlestown defeated Glenn Brown from Hamilton. And in a tight finish in the triples, the team headed by Ken Barwick from Waratah defeated the Bullaroo team.
This was the scene when firefighters arrived at the Deborah Street house. A mother, 4 of her 6 children and a daughter's boyfriend were at home when the blaze broke out in a top-floor bedroom of the 2-storey house around 10:30 this morning.
Sitting at a kitchen table with my daughter, we were writing out an order.
And where were all the other children?
Outside playing with my daughter's boyfriend.
The next thing I heard, a pop and looked straight up. And I seen the smoke, I just couldn't believe it.
The fire spread quickly, guttering the upstairs rooms, causing smoke and water damage to the rest of the house. Mrs. Watts only having time to salvage a sick son's medicine and her purse.
It could have been different if the children had been playing upstairs. Maybe they could have been trapped in one of the rear bedrooms.
Both my mother and my sister lost a fire
lost our house in fires years ago. I've always worried about it, but never. You sort of wonder what you do when the circumstances come.
The fire was under control within an hour. The Watts family comforted by neighbours as the shock set in. With the family having no relatives to stay with, police will organise temporary accommodation through the Salvation Army. They'll then prepare a report on the fire and forward that to the coroner, who'll decide if an inquiry is necessary. Catherine Lamond, NBN News. Just once more.
The exhibition, which started on Wednesday at Park Beach Plaza, has already attracted hundreds of people. It shows patients in different sections of Sydney's Camperdown Children's Hospital. Some of the images depict the harsh reality of such tiny bodies being kept alive by miles of machinery. There is a display of neonatal intensive care. Another set of photos are taken over the burns unit. There are also photos of the casualty department and cardiac care unit. All 100 framed photographs are for sale for $350 each. Hardcover and softcover books showing the photos at the exhibit are also for sale for those who can't afford a framed photograph. The 10 photographers who feature at the exhibit donated their time free, and 3 of the photographers had their children admitted to the hospital during the course of the project. It will remain in Coffs Harbour until September the 10th. Then the exhibition will continue its tour up the North Coast. The Foster Veterans Tennis Tournament attracted a huge field in its first year. 180 people entered from as far north as Tweed Heads, south to Canberra and as far west as Inverell. The preliminary heats were held today and the tournament is set to hot up tomorrow for the finals. Foster Tennis Club is hosting the event. However, some of the games have been played at the Tuncurry and Leagues Club courts. Categories being contested include singles, doubles and mixed doubles, with the age divisions being over 40s, over 50s and over 60s. Foster Tennis Club is keen to make the Veterans Tournament an annual event.
The fire was well alight when the brigades arrived about 2 a.m. The blaze was so intense, one fireman was overcome by smoke and had to be treated by paramedics at the scene. Dawn revealed the extent of the destruction. The school's assembly hall completely demolished, the rest of the school untouched. It's believed the damage bill will run to about $600,000. The investigation squad is yet to determine the cause of the fire. Arson hasn't been ruled out. Woy Woy High was one of 3 schools damaged by fire overnight, the other 2 in the Sydney region, Barara Public and Ashcroft High.